Okay, so today we will start the second part of this chapter, money and credit. In the last class, we saw that why money is important and how money was evolved. Then we saw that was the introduction place, and then we saw that how the in ancient time or in ancient time when there was no money, we how we evolved or how we used to have the exchange of the things or the market used to operate. And we cannot say that in ancient time we did not have money. During Mauryan time we had money. Okay, we found punch mark coins and other coin from Patliputra and in the Mauryan dynasty, so it was there. So we cannot say that money is a new concept. Money is quite old concept. If you see the historical movies or something, you will see that gold coins, silver coins, and all these things were used, right? So money is not of course in medieval period, that means around, let's say, you can say after 1000 AD, money was of course in too much in use, right? But of course paper currency was not there, right? Otherwise coins were always there, because coins is a metal, so metal has a value, so that was working on that. All right, so that was the case, was the introduction. Then in the main chapter in money and credit, we saw that how money is important and how money, of course, not important in that way. Okay, and how people used to work and the double coincidence of want, all those things we saw, right? And we saw that how the money for modern form of money, what is that modern form of money. So there we saw that what is currency, then deposit with the banks, the demand deposits, all these things are the M1 type of money, and that is the money which we use, right? And then we saw that if you need to, let's say, pay or let's say to make a transaction or something, right, we can do with the, let's say, plastic card, or you can say the credit card or debit card, or we can say do with the checks and all these things, right? There you do not need a virtual you can say physical money. Everything goes virtual, right? So online payments and all these things, naturally it's a good way of transaction, and naturally it reduces the burden, or you can say the expenditure of printing new currency. Those things are there. Now we are doing loan activities of bank, right? We have to start from here. Yes,
Yes,
we
sir.
yeah, we
Yes,
have to
sir.
start from loan activity. So let's say if we are talk about if we talk about the banks, in the last class we have studied about the central bank, or you can say the bank of the banks, right? Or you can say central bank of a country. Let's say just like you have Central Bank of Japan. In India we have Reserve Bank of India, right? Those banks are there. So they are the guardians of all the banks. So these central banks throughout the world, you can say each country has its own bank. So that bank basically issues the guidelines, the rules, regulations for the other commercial banks to operate, right? Those things are there. So here that was that. Now here we are going to talk about, let's say, the commercial banks. What is the commercial, what is meant by commercial banks? Commercial banks are the banks which we use in our daily life. Okay, we deposit our money, we withdraw money, we have the debit card, and we do the payment and all these things through the commercial banks, right? So here we are talking about the loan activities of banks. So here we said, let us take a story of bank further. What do the banks do with the deposits which they accept from the public? We know what they do. So they give it to the borrower. Suppose you deposit money and I go to borrow money from the bank, that money comes to me. That way. So there is an interesting mechanism at work here. Bank keep only a small proportion of their deposits as cash with themselves. So that is called liquid money, and that is also called CRR. Okay, cash reserve ratio. All right, so cash reserve ratio, so that is there. All right, so every bank has to have a certain percentage of their total asset with the central bank, number one. And every bank has to have certain percentage of the total deposits in liquid form. Liquid form means cash. Okay, here liquid form do not go for science, right? Liquid form is, that means you have to have in cash. So naturally what happens, see, the banks make money when they lend the money to the borrowers, because when they lend the money, then they charge high rate of interest. Okay, so as a depositor, if you go to the bank to deposit your money, right, you will get, let's say, 3 to 4% of your simple interest. Now you can say saving interest, right? And if it is a fixed interest, fixed deposit, then you can get 6% to 7%. That's all. So there are two types of deposits. One is the saving deposit, or you can say the normal deposit. There you deposit the money in your account, and you can withdraw anytime. That is called demand deposit. At demand deposit, you get 3 to 4%. In Japan, you do not get any percentage. Okay, in Japan, you do not get a single yen as interest. But in India, we get around, earlier we used to get 6 to 7%. Now a few years back we were getting 4%. Now it is, I heard that it is less than 4%, maybe 2 or 3%. That means we are also developing. Okay, it's a good sign. All right. Anyway, so that was it. If you deposit your money for a fixed period of time, let's say 6 months or 1 year, or let's say 2 years, that means you are not going to touch that money, right? That then your money will attract 6 to 7% of interest, right? That is called fixed deposit, right? So that is it. But basically the the main function of the bank, or you can say the main income of the bank, is when they lend money to the borrowers, they charge high rate of interest, let's say 10%, 12%, or something like that. Okay, and they pay you 4%. So you can say, you can understand the difference between that. Okay, so that is their main income. For example, bank in India these days hold about 15% of their deposit as cash. So this is kept as provision to pay the depositors who might come to withdraw money from the bank on any given day. So let's say if they do not, so Reserve Bank of India, or the central bank of the country, directs the banks, the commercial banks, that you have to have 15%, let's say, okay, of your total cash, okay, or total deposits in liquid form, so that in any point of time, because of any emergency or anything happens, right, people want to withdraw money, they should be able to withdraw their money. It is not that when come to the ATM is empty. When they come to the branch, you say, oh sorry, we lent our entire money to the borrowers because borrowers needed the money. Okay, come after 2 days or something, we will arrange money for you. No. Okay, banks are for the convenience of the customers. So you have to have certain amount of money or certain percentage of money, okay, in liquid form. That means cash. So this is kept as a provision to pay the depositors. Okay, since on any particular day only some of its many depositors come to withdraw cash, the bank is able to manage with this cash. So not everybody who deposits money come to the bank to withdraw the very next day or some other day, right? A very few people there. That is also a calculation, that if 100 people deposit money in a particular day, how many people withdraw money, right? Number one. And if 100 people deposit money, this a certain sum of money or certain amount of money, right, how many people withdraw how much, right? So with this ratio they manage, or that is the average they take, and they maintain their, you can say, cash reserve ratio. Okay, so it says bank use the major portion of the deposits to extend loans. So they give basically loans to the borrower. That is their main income. Huge demands for loan for various economic activities also take place, right? Yeah. So there is a huge demand of loans because people need loans. You need loan for house loan, car loan, business loan. Lot varieties of loan are there, and it is good when people take loan. Just consider one case, that if there is less money supply in the market, that means there is less money in the market. What will happen? Go to the bank. Bank says, sorry, we don't have cash. Right? That means we cannot give you we cannot give you money. In that case, what happens? That I won't be able to start my business. So when I start a business, what do? I buy things, I pay salary, I pay rent, I pay taxes, right? And this is how the economic wheel runs, right? So in that case, what happens? That borrowing, or you can say lending money by the bank, is good sign of economy. Right? So more you lend, that means more borrowers are there. And what are they? Why are they borrowing? They are not borrowing to let's say spend it. Of course they want to spend it, but of course for what? Investment purpose. Right? They don't. Mostly people don't borrow money to just to eat. No, they want to borrow money so that they can invest that money in the market, right, in any form of investment, right, and they can make good return. That is why they borrow money, right? And when they make money, naturally they pay interest, they pay the taxes and many other things, right? So that's a good thing. So we shall read more about this in this following section. Banks make use of the deposits to meet the loan requirement of the people. In this way, bank mediate between those who have surplus funds and those who are in need of these funds. Okay, so this is how. So suppose you go to deposit money, I go and I borrow money, right? So this is how they mediate. So bank is basically, you can say, a platform where depositors and the borrowers meet. Banks charge a higher interest on loans than what they offer on deposits. The difference between what is charged from the borrowers and what is paid to the depositor is their main source of income, right? So you can understand now that how the banks earn. So you can write in your own word also, that doesn't matter, right? So you have to understand the mechanism, that is important here. Okay, so suppose you get a case study or something. Really? Okay.
Even I can't hear you.
Now can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Actually,
Yes, sir.
I thought that for a better this thing sound, I should use my earplug. But okay. Anyway, all right. So what I was telling you, that you can understand that this is the main source of the income for the banks, right? So you have to understand the mechanism of this banking system, right? So if you understand this, you can write in any word or something like that. You do not need to mug up, right? And in case you get a case study or something, let's say any paragraph or something is given, and based on that you have to derive your answer, that also you can do. All right. Okay. So here next says, what do you think what will happen if all the depositors went to ask for their money at the same time? Then there will be a problem, there will be a crisis, right? They cannot, right? If all the depositors go to the bank, naturally bank will collapse, because bank won't be able to pay, right? Suppose I have borrowed money and I have an agreement with the bank that I will pay you monthly or something like that, right? Suddenly the bank will say that no, give me all my money. How can I give you? I have invested in the market, okay, and I will get timely return. When I get timely return, I will pay you timely. That's all. So in that case, what happens? The entire banking system will collapse. Okay, so it has to be a very, you can say, a careful move, that how much liquid money we need to have and how much investment should be done, right? Banks also invest their surplus money in various other projects, like they give to the companies, or they buy properties, so that the property price rises and all these things, so they can make more money. Okay, sometimes they invest in the share market also. All these things they do. Okay, now we are studying about two different credit situation. What is meant by credit? Borrowing money or lending money is called credit system. All right. Okay, so we are going to understand two different credit situation. In one situation, you will see that if you borrow money from an organized sector, or you can say a formal loan, if you take, right, then what are the problems and what are the advantages? And if you borrow money from, let's say, a money lender or informal source of credit, then what are the problems? Those we are going to see here. So it says a large number of transactions in our day-to-day activities involve credit in some form or the other. Credit, that means loan, refers to an agreement in which the lender supplies the borrower with money, goods or services in return for the promise of future payment. Naturally, every business in the market has a credit. Means that if I am a manufacturer of certain things, okay, and I supply my goods in the market, the buyer will not pay me immediately, because market has a tradition, or you can say certain customs. In that custom, what happens, that today they will buy, but they will pay you after 15 days. Okay, so 15-day credit is normal. It's very common thing. Okay, so even when I purchase my raw material from my supplier, I also give after 15 days or within 15 days, like that only. Okay, so it's a normal condition, right? Not a problem. So everybody mostly do in the same way. So let us see how a credit work through the following two examples. So here one is given this one, that it is a festival season 2 months from now, and then the fun fact is Salim has received an order from a large. So suppose this kind of case study is given to you, right? And now the question says, okay, so first read it, this one. Salim has received an order from a large trader in the town to 3,000 pairs of shoes to be delivered within a month. To complete production on time, Salim has to hire a few workers for stitching and pasting work. He has to purchase raw materials. To meet the expenses, Salim obtained loan from two sources. First, he asked a leather supplier to supply leather now and promised to pay him later. This is what mostly do. This is what I was talking about, right? Second, he obtains loan in cash from the large trader as advance payment for 1,000 pair of shoes with a promise to deliver the whole order by the end of the month. So basically what happens, if I get an order, what I can do is that I can ask the person who, my buyer, the potential buyer, that okay, if you want 3,000 pairs of shoes, you have to give advance for 1,000 pair of shoes, right? Why? Because so that I can buy my raw material, I have to pay my laborers, I have to buy new things, right? So they will give, right? On that behalf, I promise that I will deliver you on the stipulated time, whatever time we have decided in the agreement. At the end of the month, Salim is able to deliver the order, make a good profit, and repay the money that he has borrowed. Right? So this is how he does all these things. In this case, Salim obtains credit to meet the working capital need of production. The credit helps him to meet the ongoing expenses of production, complete production on time, and thereby increases his earning. So why credit is needed? Credit is needed to complete your production, okay, to meet the expenses during the production, right? All these things, and of course in that case what happened, in that course of time or in that course of process, you make money. So credit therefore plays a vital and positive role in this situation. So naturally when we borrow money from the bank, of course it's a positive thing. So you see in Japan, when we buy houses, of course 7 crore 8 crore, nobody has that much liquid money, so we borrow from the bank gives at the, let's say, 0.5% rate of interest, or maximum it goes 1.2% rate of interest we get here. In India we get for around 10 to 11%. So you can understand that 1% and 10%, how big that difference is, okay, that way. So here if we do not get, let's say, interest on our deposits, okay, I understand, but we have to understand that when we borrow money, we get at a very cheaper rate. That is also one fact, okay. So another case is that Swapna, a small farmer, grows groundnut on her 3 acres of land. She takes a loan from the money lender to meet the expenses of cultivation, hoping that their harvest would help repay the loan. Midway through the season of the crop is hit by the pest and all these things happen, and her crop gets spoiled. Now how is she going to pay, right? But the earnings are not forgotten to cover the old loan. She is caught in debt and she has to sell a part of land to pay off the debt. So if you see the two types of, or you can say two types of, let's say, sources of credits, here you can see that one is the formal source of credit, another one is informal source of credit. Okay, so what happens in formal source of credit, that you have to have an collateral. You understand the meaning of collateral? Collateral means, that means you have to give a guarantee. Guarantee of what? That in guarantee that if I don't pay, you can confiscate my property, or you can seize my property and you can sell in the market and you can get your money back. So this is called collateral. Normally what happens in Indian situation or in many other situations, that poor people, if they want to get a loan, they do not have anything to have a collateral, right? And banking system in India is a little complicated. In that case what happens, that it is not an easy thing to get loan from the formal source of you can say credit, such as banks. Informal source, what happens in informal source, I know my relative, I know I live in a village, I know that this man has money, he lends money at a particular rate of interest, right? So in any point of time you can go and you can get the money. He doesn't need any paperwork, right? His charges, I know, he takes 2% or 3% or 4% monthly. So here is the difference, that in formal sector what happens, you maximum pay, let's say, 10%. or 15% maximum to maximum annually. Here you are paying 4% to 5% monthly. So annually it becomes 60%. So just consider that if you borrow 100 yen, you are paying 60 yen as interest. Forget about the principal amount. Okay, that is not here. So at the end of the year, you are going to pay 160 yen, right? While if you borrow money from the formal sector, you have to pay 110 yen. So you can understand the difference between the two, right? But of course, why this happens? Because mostly people take, poor people take a loan from the money lender. Number one, in emergency, if any emergency arises, naturally you won't be able to complete the paperwork and all these things in the bank, so naturally they will not give loan for that, right? Okay, so in that case, these money lenders come in handy, and why they are still working in the market, right? But of course, their rate of interest, let's say 60% or 70% or sometimes 100% also. So that is why once you are caught in that you can say vicious cycle of debt, you will never come out. All right. So here it says in rural areas. I am at next page. In rural areas, the main demand for credit is for crop production. Crop production involves considerable costs on seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, water, electricity, repair of equipment, etc. So these are the inputs. For these inputs, let's say water, seeds, fertilizer, pesticide, and all these things, you need money. There is a minimum stretch of 3 to 4 months between the time when the farmers buy these inputs and when they sell the crop. So naturally, let's say if a crop matures or the harvest in, let's say 100 days to 120 days, right? So if they borrow money in the month of, let's say, what is the time, what is the month, January, right? So in India, this is Rabi crop time. That means the wheat production takes place. So suppose a farmer borrows money in the month of November for wheat, right? He won't be able to pay until April. Why? Because until April his crops will not be ready. All right. So once his crops are ready, then he will harvest and he will sell in the market, and then only he can pay money to the money lender. So you have a time gap of 4 months. So repayment of the loan is crucially dependent on the income from farming, and it is highly a natural thing. You are not guaranteed whether your crop will be successful or not. Crops are very nice. Suppose, let's say, it is infected by pest, or you can say no, not enough rainfall, or not too much of rainfall, then flood, drought, anything can take place, and in that, entire crop will be spoiled or gone, destroyed. So in that case, whatever money you borrowed, hoping that you will pay by from the crop production, you won't be able to pay it. Okay. In Swapna case, the failure of the crop made loan repayment impossible. She had to sell a part of the land to repay the loan. Credit, instead of helping Swapna improve her earning, left her worse off. This is an example of what is commonly called debt trap. Credit in this case pushes the borrower into a situation from which recovery is very painful. So you can see, if you borrow money from the informal sector or informal source of credit, it becomes very difficult, and it's very painful to come out of it, because rate of interest is very high, right? There is no mercy in India. Since we have a welfare state, or you can say welfare government, we have, so in that case, mostly what happens that whatever loans farmer take, many of the times it has been waived off, or you can say, that means government announces that you do not have to pay the loan, right? This is a political gimmick also. Before election, government promises the people that if we come in power, we will waive off entire loan, whatever the agricultural loan taken by the farmers, all these things government will pay to the banks. All these things happen over there, right? But so that they can attract more votes. But eventually what we see is that, in many times I have seen that government has paid to the banks, and the farmers do not need to pay, right? So in that case, sometimes the loans are misutilized also. But anyway, that's a different situation. I just gave you the ground reality. In one situation, credit helps to increase earning and therefore the person is better off than before. In another situation, because of the crop failure, credit pushes the person onto a debt trap. To repay her loan, she has to sell the portion of her land. She is clearly much worse off than before. So she was hoping that she will get more money and she will be able to meet both the ends, but that was not possible anyway. So that happens if you have, you can say, informal sector of or informal source of credit. All right. Next topic is terms of credit. Okay, so what are the terms and conditions? So when you go for loan, what banks ask you to for collateral, okay, or guarantee, right? And at the same time, you will see that if you borrow money from the money lender, what rate of interest he charges, all these things. So it says every loan agreement specifies an interest rate which the borrower must have to pay lender along with the repayment to the principal. So just consider that if you borrow house loan, if you take house loan from bank in Japan, okay, let's say SMBC or Mitsubishi Bank or any bank, right? Uh, they charge very low interest, let's say 1% or less than 1% depending upon your income, right, for 35 years. 35 years that loan extends, right? So we have a specific agreement with the banks that this is how I am going to pay, this is my monthly income, and based on that income I will be able to pay this much. So based on that they charge you rate of interest. Since they is a long time, 35 years, 35 years, so that is why, that is one of the reasons they have low rate of interest. Okay, if it is like that, okay, the moment I whatever money I will have, I will pay you and I will get off, from this loan and all these things, then your rate of interest will be higher because the banks will earn less money. So just consider that if you borrow, let's say 7 crore, or you can say, yeah, let's say 70 or 80 million or 60 million yen also, right? You can understand that how much will with 1% in rate of interest, okay, per year or something, okay. So 35 in 35 years, how much you are going to pay them anyway. So every loan agreement specifies an interest rate which the borrowers must have paid to the lender along with the repayment of the principal. In addition, lenders may demand collateral, that is called security, against loan. That suppose you won't be able to pay, then how will I recover my money? So you have to give me something. So in a rural area, what happens, that I have seen that people give their ornament, or let's say any bangle or gold or any jewelry or something, right, and against that jewelry they take loan, okay. So when, and you have to pay the rate of that interest, and when you have money, just give that money to the person you have taken, and you will get your ornament, or you can say the jewelry back. That also take place over there. Collateral. What is collateral? So collateral is an asset that the borrowers owns, such as land, building, vehicle, livestock, deposits with the bank, and uses this as a guarantee to a lender until the loan is repaid. Okay, so the bank asks you, give me the paper. If any paper, suppose I go to a bank to get a loan, let's say 1 million rupees I want to borrow, right? They will ask you to deposit a guarantee, or you can say any paper or something that has the value of, let's say, 1 million or more than that. Okay, so suppose I own a house or own a flat or a kind of apartment or something. I will give them the paper that, okay, you, this is the agreement I have given you. If I fail to pay, you can sell it off, right, and then you can recover your money. Rest of the money I can get it. I will get back, like that. Okay, so if the borrower fails to repay the loan, the lender has the right to sell the asset or collateral to obtain payment. Properties such as land titles, deposit with banks, livestock are common examples of collateral used for borrowing. Okay, so in the rural area, this happened. All right. Okay. So this was this one. Now I'm at the next page. Okay, if you take a house loan, let's say if you take a house loan, so when you take a house loan, the house is not in your name. That house is basically in the bank's name. right? Or you can say house may be in your name, but you have to submit your paper or give the paper to the bank until you repay the entire loan. So here it says Megha has taken a loan of 5 lakh from the bank to purchase a house. The annual interest rate on the loan is 12%. Now you can compare Japanese loan and Indian loan. And the loan is to be repaid in 10 years in monthly installments. Megha had to submit to the bank documents showing her employment record, that this is where I work, right? And this is my salary, this is my income tax return. Okay, I am, you can say, a paid worker, regular worker, and this is how I will be able to pay you. The bank retained as collateral the papers of the new house, which will be returned to Megha only when she repays the entire loan with interest. Okay, so what you can do is that you can have a photocopy of that, let's say, paper, the house paper, right? And suppose, just consider one case, that I bought a house in 2020. After 2025, I want to sell it off, right? Okay, bank, and I have borrowed money from the bank, okay, like for 10 years or something like that. So in that case, would I be able to sell my property? I can sell, but I have to inform the bank that now I am not the owner of the house, right? He is the man. So in that case, what may happen, that if you are selling it at a profit, so in that case, uh, you can repay your loan, or that loan will transfer from you to that man who has borrowed. Okay, so if that man, the new customer, has money, he will pay to the bank and he will get the paper back. Otherwise, the loan will continue from your name to his name, right? That also is possible. Okay, so here it says that visibility. Okay, so fill the following details in mega housing plan: loan in amount, duration of loan, documents required, interest rate will be how much, mode of repayment, and collateral. What's the collateral? Of course, this is nothing, just a cheesy thing. Anyway, interest rate, collateral, and document requirement, and the mode of repayment together comprise what is called the terms of credit. So remember this line, underline this. So what is meant by terms of credit? So interest rate, what will be the interest rate? Suppose we negotiate with the bank, okay, or with the money lender. Okay, no, I won't be able to. I won't be able to pay. I will pay you this much only. So this should be the rate of interest. Number one, what we are giving as collateral. Another one, right? And the documentation required. How much document work I have to do. All these things, the legal papers, NOC from these, from income tax certificate we need. Okay, that means we pay income tax. Of course, here also we need all these things, right? So all these are called terms of credit. Remember this. So the terms of credit vary substantially from one credit arrangement to another. They may vary depending on the nature of the lender and the borrower. So it depends upon that what kind of borrowing you are doing. Suppose you are taking an emergency loan, or let's say personal loan, then yeah, the interest will be different, or the terms of credit will be different. If you are taking car loan or a house loan, right, all these things, so of course your terms and condition will change, of course, right? So the next section will provide the examples of the varying terms of credit in different credit arrangement. So you can see here, there are some questions. Why do lenders ask for collateral while lending? Okay, so that you can, they have the security or guarantee that you will be able to pay them. Given that a large number of people in our country are poor, does it in any way affect their capacity to borrow? Of course, when majority of the people are poor, in that case what happens, that they cannot borrow from the banks, because banks need collateral, and poor people hardly can deposit or submit anything as collateral. So naturally, that is why it becomes difficult for them to get loan. But now the government is coming to that also, that even if they do not have collateral, this doesn't mean that they do not have the right to get loan from the bank. So banks are not only meant for the urban people, or you can say the people who are rich, or they can pay, or all these things. It's not like that. Even poor people also can get loan. So there are varieties of, you can say, schemes government launches, so that based on that scheme, or you can say under that scheme, you can borrow money from the bank, right? Bank will naturally supervise your activities. Suppose I want to take loan for, let's say, fish farming, or you can say poultry farming, right? So they will not give you the loan. Okay, you want for poultry farming, so I give you loan. No. So what they will ask you, that okay, have you taken any training? Yes, I have taken training. Where are you going to set up your farm? So I have to show the land. This land belongs to whom? Does this land belong to you or your parents or something? That also I have to tell, right? That means NOC I have to take from the parents, that yeah, they have no objection if I use their land or something like that. Okay, then they will release some amount of money, right, for construction purpose. Once construction is done, right, you have to inform the bank that I have done the construction. They will come in and visit the place, that yes, really you have done, or you misutilized the loan, right? Once you are done with that, then they will release another you can say installment of money. With that money you will buy certain things. Let's say you will buy fishlets, or you can say other things, okay, and other equipment you need to buy. All those things you will buy, right? Again they will come and visit. So this is how this supervise. Why they do that? So that you should also be have the compulsion that okay, I have to finish my project, and I should not waste that money in different way or something. And government also, or you can say the banks also have the responsibility that they should get their money back, number one, right? They also have the social responsibility that the person who is trying to start a business or something, we should help that person, right? So it is, you can say, both ways. As a customer or as a borrower, I also have the compulsion, because there is somebody who is guiding me, right? Number one. And the bank also, you can say the authority also have this compulsion, or you can say an obligation, that yes, we have to help the needy and poor people also, right? So this is how it works. So government time to time keeps launching many schemes. That means you can say loan for the rural youth, loan for the urban youth. All these things are there, okay? So many. All right. So here one says the variety of credit arrangements. Example of a village is given, right? So based on that you can understand what happens over there. So Rohit and Ranjan have finished reading about the terms of credit in class. Okay. Here Preksha, Ishana and Avantika have already finished. So they were eager to know the various credit arrangements that exist. Okay, leave it. I don't know. 15th November 2016. We head directly to the field where most farmers and laborers would be working at this time of the day. The fields are planted with potato crops. We first meet Shamal, a small farmer in Sonpur, in a village a small irrigated village. So Shamal tells us that every season he needs loan for cultivation on his 1.5 acres of land. Till a few years back, he would borrow money from the village moneylender at an interest rate of 5% per month, that means 60% per annum. For the last few years, Shamal has been borrowing from an agriculture trader in the village at an interest rate of 3% per month. So you can see 3% per month means what? So let's say from 5% you come to 3%. So that is also a good thing. All right. At the beginning of the cropping season, the trader supplies the farm inputs on credit, which is to be repaid when the crops are ready to harvest. So this is a new thing is happening in the market. That means what the corporate houses do, or you can say, let's say let's say here in Japan, I tell you, have you heard of Reliance Fresh in India? Avantika might be knowing.
The supermarket?
Yeah, it's a supermarket. Okay, like you have Big Yoson over there, then Daiye we have, right? And many other stores are there where we get OK Store, all these, right? So they sell variety of things. They sell the packet food also, or they sell the vegetable and fruits also, everything, right? So whether Daiei is there, OK store is there, or Yes store, whatever stores we have here in Japan, right? Those stores are there. In India, we have Reliance Fresh and many other are also there. Big Basket online are there. So what they do is that they have a direct contract with the farmers that you supply us the raw material, we will pay you, right? So you do not have to go to the money lender, number one, okay, and we will pay you in advance. So when they give advance, in this history also, I will give you an example of history also. So when they pay in advance, right, that means an agreement has been signed by the you can say the company to the with the farmer, that you have to sell your product at the specified rate, or you can say the rate written over there to the company only, and because of that only the company is paying you money, right? So from just consider a case here, that means from 5%, if they give you loan at you can say 2% or 3%, that is one thing. That means at least you have a relief, right? And you will not, definitely not get my you will not borrow for the whole year, you will borrow only for 3 or 4 months, right? Because within 3-4 months, of course, the potato will be done, so you can just sell your product in the market and you can get cash. So that happens. So these corporate houses have, you can say, several 100,000 of acres of land they borrow, or you can say they have a contract with the farmers, and the farmers grow for them. This not only happen here, this happens in Africa also, because you can say in Kenya, Tanzania, and all these areas, the tropical fruits and the tropical vegetables which are sold in European markets, where does that come from? That comes from Africa. So those European companies, the food, you see the Del Monte, you know Del Monte. Have you heard of Del Monte? They pack banana and many other
Yes.
things. Okay, that comes from, you can say, South American country. So there are food companies like Cargill Inc. is there, and many other are there. So these are the food companies which buy land in Africa, or you can say they have contract with the African farmers, and they provide their own inputs. That means better seeds, better fertilizers, better irrigation methods, right? And on that African soil, they grow food with the help of the Africans, right? And these Africans are paid money, or you can say as salary, right? But of course they have to work in very harsh condition, because it's a business, right? It's a you can say workplace. So, and that food is supplied to, you can say, in European market, right? Similar thing happen in India also, but not in that way. Of course, it's a very harsh way, because Africa is a poor country, continent. So in that case, in that is why it happens. But in India, companies like Reliance Fresh, Big Basket, and many other food this thing, they borrow money, or you can say they pay money to the farmers, and they of course get supplies from, so let's say potato, onion, and many other fruits, you can say fruits and vegetables, they directly get from the farmers, right, at a very cheaper rate, because they have already paid and all the advance had been done, right? The farmers also do not have the liability to sell that product, go to the market with their product, and there you find out the price is very low. Okay, we cannot sell, but since vegetables and the fruits are perishable item, you have to sell today only, because your cost is already there. Because see, just consider one case, that I have a truck load of potato, right, or let's say onion or something, right? I went to the market to sell, and I found that the price is too low, right? And I decide not to sell today. All right, okay. What about the cost of transporting that much onion to the market and bringing it back, right? And again offloading it, unloading all these things, and then again loading on the next day, when, or let's say after 2 days or 3 days, when there will be a better price or something. That's a difficult choice, right? Okay, so in that case, what happens, that whatever price is offered in the market, we just sell it off and finish. But here what happens, since you have a contract with these corporate houses, or these companies, so they will come with their own vehicle and own arrangement, and they will take from you, right? So you do not have to have the headache of transporting your product to the market, right? And already the rates and all these things have been fixed, so no problem, right? So you can say in that case, I understand that both may be in win-win situation. I do not know the ground realities, but what I can understand, that at least as a farmer I understand that okay, I have taken loan, I understand that I have a contract with a company, right? But of course, since it's a natural product and it cannot be grown in any condition, naturally you need conducive conditions and all these things, and if condition is not favorable, crop may fail. In that case, what are those companies going to do, right? So those terms and conditions are also written over there, right? So partly I suffer loss as a farmer, partly the company will suffer loss, because company depend on us, we do not depend on company. That is one thing, right? Because company wants to make money, right? For us, markets, local markets are fine enough, but to you can say mitigate certain problems, or you can say to avoid certain problems, what we can do is that we can have a contract with the company. Okay, you come and take our product, we don't have to worry about that. So that is one condition. So this is what Samuel does. Okay, coming back to the book. Besides the interest charge on the loan, the trader also makes the farmer promise to sell the crop to him. This way, the traders can ensure that the money is repaid promptly. Number one. Also, since the crop prices are low after the harvest, the trader is able to make a profit from buying the crop at a low price from the farmers and then selling it later when the price has risen, right? So this happens. Now you see, when in the North India, everybody is, or the entire country, most, you can say majority of the farmers are growing potato and wheat, right? And wheat and potato are ready, let's say in the month of March and April. Okay, supply is too much. In that case, what happens? Price goes down. When price goes down, then you have no option but to sell, because you do not have a better storage facility. So that time these corporate houses do what? That they buy in millions of tons or thousands of tons, if I am exaggerating. Anyway, so they buy a lot, and in that case, what happens? They do, they have their better storage facility, right? So they store their product over there, right? And after 1 or 2 months, when the price starts going, so after that they start releasing the product, that potato or onion or whatever, right, in the market, and they make money. Had I had you can say a better storage facility, I would have sold after a month or two. But since money lender is already, after me, or I have already had a contract with this company, that in the month of April, the moment my crops will be ready, I will sell it to you, right? So they take they will definitely, after me to sell their product. They will force me to sell the product. Number one, just consider the Lays, and you can say the Pringles. They all make potato and this thing, the chips and all, right? A 50 gram of potato packed in the airtight packet sold at what price? 20 rupees in India, right? So per kg is how much? Or let's say 10 rupees. Okay, so 100 gram is for 20 rupees. Alright, that means for 1 kg, 200 rupees. And at what price they might be buying potato from the farmers? Maybe 2 rupees per kg. So if you buy 2 rupees per kg potato and you are selling for 200 rupees per kg, you can understand that how big business they make, right? And how big money they make. But of course, I understand their technology, their advertisement, their supply chain, their all these things, of course, cost a lot. But then also they make a lot of money. So it is all because of the storage facility. When the crops are ready, they buy in bulk, and then gradually, according to their need, they take out and they use it, right? And this is how they supply in the market. That is one case. Second says, we next meet Arun, who is supervising the work of one farm laborer. Arun has 7 acres of land. He is one of the few persons in Sonpur to receive bank loan for cultivation. The interest rate on the loan is 8.5% per annum. In Syamal case, if he borrows money from money lender, he has to pay 60%. If he borrows money from the corporate on the traders, he has to pay 36%. right? But this boy Arun pays 8.5% per annum and can be repaid any time in next 3 years. So Arun plans to repay the loan after harvest by selling a part of the crop. He then intends to store the rest of the potato in a cold storage and apply for a fresh loan from the bank against the cold storage receipt. The bank offers this facility to farmers who have taken crop loan from them. So just consider one case, just understand this one, that I have, let's say, 100,000 kg of potato. Okay, and I know that since supply is too much in the market, potato, the price is too less. So what I decided, that let's say 10,000 kg of potato I will sell at whatever price is there, because I have to meet my expenses and all these things. Rest I will store in a cold storage. So when I go to a cold storage is a warehouse where temperature is maintained to make sure that your product remain fresh. Okay. So when I go to the cold storage, of course they will weigh your product, that means potato and all, right? And they will give you a receipt that this much potato worth this much, or whatever is there. This much potato, this many, let's say 90,000 kg of potato, this man has stored in the cold storage, and this is the receipt, right? Okay. With that, that means this is my asset, right? With that receipt, I can go to the bank and I can borrow money, right, against that receipt, because bank also knows that okay, he has, let's say, 90,000 kg of potatoes, right? Suppose, and he wants to have the money for, let's say, 6 months. All right, he wants to borrow the money for 6 months. Banks also know that after 6 months what will be the average price of potato, because everybody is a human being, everybody is a consumer. Doesn't matter you work in Arab, okay, doesn't matter you work in NASA or Google or bank, you have to eat, right? So everybody buys potato, right? So they know that after 6 months this 5 rupee kg tomato will be 20, potato will be 20 rupees or 25 rupees, right? So now they can easily calculate the price and they will happily give you the loan. Take it. So this is another condition. So now you can understand the difference between Shamal and Arun condition. Shamal is a small farmer. He has only 1.5 acres of land. That means he has less property naturally, right? While Arun has more property, right, and he can have more surplus, and with that surplus he can make more money. Another third condition you see. Rama is working in a neighboring field. She works as an agricultural laborer. There are several months in the year when Rama has no work and needs credit to meet the daily expenses. Right? He is a landless laborer. So what he does is that he depends upon his, what do you say, on work only. That means if he gets work, he gets money. If he doesn't get work, he doesn't get money. Expenses on sudden illness or function in the family are also met through loans. Rama has to depend on her employer, a medium landowner in Sonpur, for credit. The landowner charges an interest rate of 5% per month. 5% per month. See, Rama repays the money by working for the moneylender. Most of the time, Rama has to take fresh loan before the previous loan has been repaid. At present, she owes a landowner 5,000 rupees. Though the landowner doesn't treat her well, she continues to work for him, and since she can get loan from him when she is in need. Rama tells us that the only source of credit for the landless people in Sonpur are the landowner or the employer, because these are the people who give you the loan, because they know you, they know this also, that you will not run away, right? Where will you go? You have no resource or something. So most of the time he works in his house or she works in his house, right? And this is how she pays or all this. Okay, so there are the three conditions. One is a small farmer, one is a landless laborer, and one is a wealthy farmer, right? So you can understand that in these three conditions, both are all the three are farmers also, but in three conditions there are three different situations. That means getting a loan, or you can say getting a credit in three situations, are three different things, or three different meanings, right? Okay. And it becomes sometimes it is very difficult for the poor farmers or the poor borrower to repay the money. So this is one thing. So that was for, let's say, credit, or you can say formal source of credit or informal source of credit. Right, throughout the world you will see that system is same. It hardly changes. I don't know much about Japan, but in other countries, what we studied in geography, in case study, this happens everywhere. Wherever we have better banking system, right? People get loan in developed countries, mostly 3 to 5% of the total population. Understand this. In developed countries, 3 to 5% of the total population only is engaged in farming, right? Because majority of the people work in industries, or you can say service sector and all. While in developing countries, majority, more than 50% of people are engaged in farming, because they do not have jobs, and other employment opportunities are not there. So you can understand that how this system work. And where majority of people are poor, or you can say engaged in farming, naturally banking system and all these things may not be very good, because it's a developing country. In developed country, what happens, only 3 to 5% people are engaged. Let's say in US, more less than 5% people work in agriculture, right? Because people don't want to work in this, because it is a very tiring job, or very low grade job, they understand. So these farmers are of course very rich, so they apply to the immigration, or they invite the people, or you can say the workers from Guatemala, Honduras, then you can say Mexico, right? All these from countries, they invite people to work on their farm, and they come there for 9 to 10 months visa only. So that means every year you have to go back, so that you should not claim that I have been living in America for so many years regularly, so I should get PR, or you can say I should get citizenship. It's not like that. In Japan, what happens, that the workers come from Philippines, workers come from Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Mostly they come from Vietnam. Vietnamese workers come for agriculture in Japan, right? And they get visa for, you can say, fishing and all these things also, and for the farm work also, they get visa, and they work here, because that is also it's much needed, because of course the Japanese population is too less, right? And since it is declining year by year, so who will work on the farm? So mostly the Filipino or Vietnamese people come here for agriculture. I don't know, they are given here 3 to 5 years of visa at a stretch. It is not like America, because here the condition is different. You need people to work regularly with you, right? While in America, they shoo away the people, that okay, get out from my country, I do not need you, or something like that. So in that case, so the two different systems are there. So naturally in Japan, government visa regulations is such that, so that more and more people can come and work here, right? So that's a different situation, while in America it's a different situation, right? In Europe, okay, let's talk about Europe a little bit. In Europe, France, Germany, England, people from Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, you can say Hungary, these people, the Eastern European people, migrate to Western Europe to work in the farm, because unfortunately, though it is a entire, you can say, Europe, but Eastern Europe has poorer countries, and Western Europe, of course, you can understand, Spain, then France, England, Germany, Switzerland, then Belgium, Netherlands, all these are quite rich countries, Luxembourg, right? So Austria, Hungary, so these are the of course rich countries. So people migrate from Eastern Europe to Western Europe to work in those farms and all these. Okay, that is there. All right. Okay, let's come back to India. So loans from cooperative. So there is another, you can say, I will just finish this page. After that I will leave you. So loans from cooperative. So it says that besides bank, the other major source of cheap credit in rural areas are the cooperative societies. Members of a cooperative pool their resource for cooperation in certain areas. There are several types of cooperative possibilities possible, such as farmers cooperatives, weavers cooperatives, industrial worker cooperatives, etc. So you can understand that as the name suggests, cooperative, that means we have to cooperate with each other. So that means you do not have to fall in that debt trap, right? We all will pool in money, right? And whoever need money, they can borrow that money at a very cheap rate of interest, right? So that it should not be inconvenient for any borrower to pay, right? And once it is your demand is met, or your work or the purpose is fulfilled, you can pay the money back. So this is how it is done. So Krishak cooperative function in a village not very far away from Sonpur. It has 2,300 farmers as members. So just consider every member pays, let's say, 200 rupees per year, right? So you can understand how much money you have. If any of the two, or any member, or let's say a few members need money, right, they can get money. And if you are running that in a proper way for let's say 3 to 5 years, if your books of account is clear and no problem is something that, then you can apply for very cheap loan from the banks also. You can say the government will also help you, right? Because government, see, the ultimate aim of the government is to make sure that the farmer should not fall in that debt trap, or that means the farmer should be helped in any way. Naturally, the banks, or you can say the governments, cannot reach door to all the poor and medium farmer, but of course there are many ways through which government can help. So non-government organizations, let's say NGOs or these cooperative societies, if they have their clear work process, or you can say the books of account is clear, that means no scam, no forgery is done, right? Then government also help them. So this can also be done. With these deposits as collateral, the cooperative has obtained a large loan from the bank. I told you these funds are used to provide loan to members. Once these loans are repaid, another round of lending can take place, right? So since, just consider 2,300 people multiplied by 200, right? You have some amount. With that amount as collateral and your papers and the government registration and all these things, you can apply for, you can say, a bigger loan from the banks, right? And after that you can just give loan to the farmers also. So Krisak cooperative provides loan for the purchase of agricultural implements, let's say the plow and all these things, loan for cultivation and agricultural trade, fishery loans, loan for construction of houses, and for a variety of other expenses, right? So this is another way of, you can say, helping in credit system. Basically here, see, we are not talking about the urban sector. India is land of agriculture. India is a country of agriculturists or the farmers, right? So here basically we are trying to address the grassroots problems, because it is these are the people who of course feed the entire country, right? And villages are the kitchen of the whole country, right? And if you have a better agricultural system, you can export your product to the other markets. You can see here, if you go to the market, you will find that product, most of the products are not grown in Japan. Okay, something is coming from New Zealand, something is coming from this country, that country. Of course, in the world of globalization, nothing is impossible. So everything goes here and there and all these things. So in that case, if farmers are given support by the governments in various ways, naturally these farmers will be well off, right? And since in India majority of the people, or you can say more than half of the population is engaged in agriculture, so it is the government duty also to help them in many ways, so that these people can prosper and they can have a better standard of living. Of course they do not have better standard of living, unfortunately, even after 70 years of independence. But of course government is leaving no stone unturned to make their life better, or you can say give them a fair price, right? They should not be exploited and all these things. All right, okay. So with this I leave you, and after that, do we have another chapter? Yeah, okay, we have formal sector. Okay, so this will be done in the next class on Monday. So okay, all right.
Yes, sir.